From overcoming childhood challenges to helping build a billion-dollar empire, Monte Holm's journey is nothing short of inspiring. Join us as a co-founder of World Financial Group shares his framework for achieving work-life balance and financial fitness, the affirmations that fueled his rise, and the strategies behind his remarkable success. Monte, it's such an honor to interview you, sir. How did your humble beginning serve as a catalyst for your success?
Well, Jerry, thank you. I'm pleased to be on this podcast with you. I heard some great things about you, and this was recommended by two of my dear friends. And so I'm happy to be on with you, and I hope to be able to make a difference for your audience. And I congratulate you on your podcast and the inroads that you're making in helping people become more successful, which is what life should be about, is helping people build better lives. So I'm thrilled and hope that I can be helpful. Your question about how did my humble beginnings serve as a catalyst for my success, that's a good question. I did come from a large family with very humble beginnings. I spent my early life struggling, had to milk cows and feed animals, and often I didn't have my meals or my breakfast until after the animals were fed. And I didn't like the farm life as a boy, but I struggled a great deal. But I learned that strength comes from struggle. Show me anything that's successful, and I'll show you a leader or a group of leaders that went through some struggles. And it's trial and error. It's the ups and downs. It's sometimes being knocked down that helps drive your determination and helps shape your thinking and helps you pick yourself up and dust yourself off and move to the next level. So I've always been grateful for the struggles that I had in my youth. And I think it did serve as a catalyst for my success. From a business standpoint, I struggled in every aspect. I didn't, I had no real knowledge about the financial services industry, and I had to overcome that weakness. I had to learn, and that means I had to study and overcome that challenge. And that helped me grow. It helped me get a good education about the financial services space, and it helped me figure out what I wanted to do and who I wanted to become in that industry. And so those early struggles, even learning how to talk to people, learning how to give presentations, learning how to close sales, learning how to manage money, and learning eventually how to run an office. And all of that was a struggle. But again, strength comes from struggle. And I've often told my family, and I've told my business associates, that if you think about struggle in such a way, think about an egg, a chicken being born, a chick being born, I should say. That chick, this egg has to sit in the warmth, either covered by the mother hen or in a certain incubator with proper lights and proper heating. And over a few weeks, that egg incubates, and eventually there's a live chick inside that egg. But that chick, I learned as a little boy on the farm that if you take that egg and you see the chick, you see a little hole crack where that chick from the inside, it pecks its way out of that shell. And it pecks and pecks, and eventually you see the beak come out, and eventually you see the head come out, and eventually you see the body trying to wiggle its way and struggle. There's tremendous struggle with that chick trying to give birth to itself coming out of that egg. And I learned that if you take that egg and break it and help the chick come out, that chick will die. In most cases, it will die. There's something about the struggle that breathes life into that chick that helps it live and helps it thrive. And so I think to a large degree, some of the struggles we go through helps breed strength into us, and it helps us learn to win. And so again, I'm grateful for the struggles that I had. I hope to not go through them much more, and I hope that all of us, when we go through struggles, we can minimize the struggles and not drag them out for a long period of time. But I think that's how it helped me on my journey for success.
I really like that example with the chicken about to be hatched. It sort of reminds me of going outside your comfort zone to experience new things and to learn new things. Did you have, when you first entered this world of finance, did you have a mentor in this finance world?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I had the guy that recruited me into the industry was only it was only a couple weeks after I got into the industry and wasn't even yet licensed when that guy quit on me. And that ties back into your first question about struggles. Boy, I all of a sudden had no help and no leadership. I was excited about working with this guy, and then all of a sudden he quit on me. And that became a great blessing too, because one of my most profound mottos was developed when he quit. My motto became, I'm not a quitter, I'm a finisher, I'm a finisher, I'm a finisher. I decided I'm not going to do to others what happened to me. That hurt so bad that to have a guy quit on me that was going to mentor me and help me, that it helped me decide I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be a quitter. I'm not going to do that to others. And so that was actually a blessing. But then the other blessing is that I ended up reaching out to another person that actually that guy that quit, he reported to another guy that lived 9 hours away from me. I lived out in Utah at the time, just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. And the guy that I rolled up to manage me and help me lived in Denver. And yes, he began to mentor me and help me. And I learned then, though, and I hope everybody will listen real closely to this comment here. That is that I had to reach out to him. I accepted the responsibility to reach out. I felt like I have the right to reach out wherever I need to reach, to get whatever help I need to get to be able to win in my business and life. And I realized that guy's probably not going to be able to read my mind. These mentors can't read your mind. And I decided I'm going to reach out to him. And I asked his permission to call him often and to pull from him, to treat him like a computer where I reach in and pull out what I need. Imagine logging onto your computer and your computer just downloads everything on the computer in case you might need some of it. Well, that's not how computers work. If you log into Google, for example, and you ask it questions and get what you need, that's how the computer works best and serves your life. Well, mentors are that way too. And so that leader in Denver helped me tremendously as I reached out to him. I think every entrepreneur, every aspiring leader, every person that wants to win big in life ought to find mentors. And those mentors, it can be a different mentor in your spiritual life. It can be a different mentor than the guy that's going to mentor you financially. But find people who are living the kind of lives that you want to live in certain areas, and then ask them for their help and reach out and let them be mentors, but then be coachable and follow the advice. And then these mentors will have made a great difference in your life. Otherwise, they just become friends. They just become cheerleaders. They're not really impacting you in a big way because you're not mentally prepared. You're not reaching out. You're not downloading what you need. You're not pre-thinking what you need with a predetermined outcome. And so smart people find smart mentors, and then they work with them in a smart way to pull what they need to be able to win or at least move to the next level. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that certainly does. And was it this key mentor that shaped your pivotal moment in your life that set you on the path to building World Financial Group?
I think, Jerry, yeah. I mean, that mentor, he was also very involved in helping grow the company. That company, of course, I've had the privilege of being involved with several companies and been not just in the insurance space and the security space and the as a registered investment advisor and doing other things, reinsurance space and other things. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in a lot of things, and reaching out to mentors in those different companies, different industries, to be able to get the help that I needed. But yes, those mentors helped create pivotal moments. Some of the pivotal moments, of course, came from good decisions that we made. I think when you're collaborating with other smart people, when you're trying at least to be smart yourself and you're getting good help from people that have been down that path, then those create moments and opportunities that open up. And I'm convinced that windows of opportunity open up in life, but you've got to be prepared to jump through those windows. And I think most people experience windows of opportunity that open up, but they don't recognize them and they don't seize the moment and jump through those windows. And I feel like we were fortunate enough to jump through those windows on several fronts and be able to succeed in a fun way, a very powerful way, and help a bunch of others succeed along the way. So yeah, I'm grateful for the moments. I'm grateful for the mentors. I'm grateful for the experiences and the struggle that all culminated in helping us create a successful path and a successful company.
Wow. But well, building this massive company takes a lot of time from you. So can you share the 5 F words framework that you developed for maintaining a healthy family and a financially fit lifestyle?
Yes, I can. And Jerry, you and I talked before this podcast about this a little bit, but I mean, building a successful business takes time, and it can pull you away from family. It can pull you away from other things that are important. And, I think if we handle things properly, we ought to have a balanced life. If we're handling things properly, our business will serve our life, not consume our life. And so early on in my career, in my life, right after I got married, my wife and I sat down and we put together some words that we wanted to build our entire lives around. And I have actually in my hand right here, I know that you're listening, not viewing, so you can't see them, but in my hand, I've got actually 40 files. Every year of my life, I've created a set of goals with affirmation statements. I've refused to allow a new year to come in without that new year being pre-planned specifically as to what I wanted for that year. And I've been able to write it down and center all my goals and all of my plans around 4 areas of my life. And so those F words, there's 4 F words that are the main F words, but faith, family, finance, and fitness. And those are the 4 words that Lisa and I decided that Lisa's my wife, we decided we were going to build our lives around those 4 areas. We wanted to have a spiritual life that would strengthen our faith. So faith became a key word. And then family, of course, everything about our lives, we wanted to be centered around our family. And then we put the word finance because we want finance and fitness to support the first 2. In other words, we want faith and family to be our primary, and then finance and fitness to support our faith and our family, if that makes sense. And so we centered everything around them, and all of our goals, all of our plans, all of our strategies of us always for all of these years have been centered around those 4 things. And we came up with other F words to support those F words. For example, we came up with the word, if faith is the key word, then we wanted that to be the foundation of our lives. So there's another F word. Faith is the foundation. And with regard to family, we decided fidelity, family fidelity, which means loyalty and oneness and pulling together. And then with regard to fitness, or with regard to finance, we came up with the word frugality. We want We want to be financially fit, but we've got to exercise frugality, which means living within your means and handling your finances properly. And then we decided for fitness that the key word is food. It's what you eat and how much of it you eat. And so if we're eating properly, we read a study years ago that said that fitness is 80% nutrition and 20% exercise or exertion. And so food, it's what we eat and how much of it that we eat that would have at least 80% of our fitness. So we decided we wanted to have lives that were filled with those F words: faith and foundation, family, fidelity, finance, frugality, and fitness would be centered around what we eat, and meaning the food. And then we believed then, Jerry, that if we handle those things right, and if we try to balance ourselves properly, keeping faith and family the biggest priorities, then there's some other F words. If you could create a little arch over all that I've said so far, there's some other words that kick in. And I love F words. F words are great words. There's some bad F words, but I'm not going to use those. But I'm giving you some of the best F words, and we put some other overarching F words above those. For example, if we handle our balance properly, then we can build a bright future. I love the word future, another F word. And we can build a fortune and have good fortune. So I like the word fortune. And then my favorite F word is freedom. We can have freedom. Freedom from debt, freedom from fear, freedom from pain, freedom from bad health, freedom from debt, freedom from things that create struggle in our lives. And so we have tried, and it's interesting that you're asking that question about those F words. We've just simply tried to build our lives around those. And we're not perfect. We're just human beings. We're actually not human beings. We're human becomings. I don't think there's a human being. I don't think none of us are human beings. We're human becomings. We're all in a process of becoming something. And so I've always liked to look at it as though we are supposed to put ourselves on a certain trajectory, and that trajectory should be a success trajectory. And that means we're in the process of becoming something. So those F words are just kind of a description of what we're trying to become, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, definitely. And referring back to the comment that you said about at the beginning of a year, you always like to draft out this affirmations, and you like to do a lot of goal setting. And I heard that you've been doing it for a long time. So how you're very experienced with goal setting. So how do you approach goal setting to ensure continuous growth and success?
Well, great question. I mean, as I just mentioned, we don't allow a new year to come in without having goals set for that new year. We haven't ever, where it's not like we've hit every goal, but we've never let a year come in without having at least a real clear picture of what we want to do. And Jerry, I've always believed that just like Napoleon Hill, the great author Napoleon Hill, he says that which we persist in placing in our minds will eventually seek reality in our lives. And so if we predetermine what we're going to put in our minds, meaning our goals and our affirmations, that means our self-talk, that means our vision of who and what we want to become. If we put that in our minds, intentionally put the right things in our minds, it's amazing how those things seek reality in our lives. They begin to come to fruition. They come to reality. And so for me, on page 36 of his book, Think and Grow Rich, he says to write it out, and then he says to read it out loud every morning and every night. And then he says, as you read, you must see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of those goals. That means you're using your emotion. It means you're using your imagination. It means you're seeing it come to pass and you're experiencing it as though it's really going to happen in your life. I think I got good at that, to be honest, in my early career, because I did read it out loud every morning and every night. And I didn't just read the financial stuff. I read that I want my faith and my family to be a priority. And then I want my financial stuff to be a priority in my fitness. And I've strived. I've never been, I'm not perfect, but I've had those goals to shape my thinking, and I've sort of obsessed over those things. That which dominates your thinking is going to control the outcome of your life. And the way to get something to dominate your thinking, I want my faith to dominate my thinking. I want my family to dominate my thinking. I want my financial life and my financial fitness to dominate my thinking, along with my physical fitness. And so by reading these things out loud morning and night, it allows my mind to now focus on those things. And that which we persist seeks reality, as Napoleon Hill says, and that which dominates us controls the outcome of our lives. And so I want my goals and my future. I want my faith and my family to dominate me. I want those things, and I don't mean dominate in a bad way. I just want it to dominate my thinking so that I then can be on that proper path. So that's how I approach goal setting. And I believe so firmly in reading them out loud. I believe so firmly in trying to envision it as you're going through it. And it's harder than it sounds. I mean, it was hard for me, Jerry, over the years to force myself to read them and force myself to read them out loud and to go through that mental exercise. But I think it's created a firmness, a will of steel, to where my will and my desires are forged in a hardened steel, where I've just known who and what I want to become. And I think there's power and strength that comes from goal setting, that comes from a predetermined outcome, and then working toward these noble good causes. I just think there's great strength that comes from that. So,
Speaking of efforts, I think you mentioned another one, fruition. And on top of that, how do you balance risk taking with your caution in your financial strategies? There's another effort.
well, so how do I balance risk taking? Is that your question? How do I
Yeah,
balance risk taking with caution? That's
yeah.
a good way. That's a good way to ask that question, Jerry. I mean, that's always a challenge. I mean, my goal, if you're asking about financial strategies, and how do you how do you balance risk taking and caution? I'll just read to you my long-term purpose of of how I handle my finances. I'll just read the statement that's part of my overall plan with financial strategies, is to preserve and grow. This is kind of a long little statement, but it's my statement of purpose with regard to my financial strategy, is to preserve and grow my family estate for future generations through careful, conservative deployment of capital based on a solid due diligence process, fair negotiating of security and equity positions, and exceptional returns. So my goal with my financial strategies is to grow my family estate, and to do it carefully through conservative deployment of capital. So if I'm going to invest in things, I'm going to make sure we assess the risks, and I'm going to make sure we take the proper risks, but we do it with caution. All that means is that you're careful in your due diligence. I know that most people don't have a large amount of money to invest. Most people are financially not yet where they want to be. Most people are financially living quiet lives of desperation, and they need help. And so many don't have the ability to take risks, and they don't have much money to deploy. And so they need to go to work in finding a great career and then building a great career. The biggest risk people take financially is in the career they choose. It's in choosing a career that may not take them down the path that they ultimately dream of. And so we've got to be careful there. And then, yes, as we do make more money and as we become financially able, we just do good due diligence and we use wisdom. And wisdom is a rare thing. I mean, I'm convinced wisdom is the acquisition of knowledge coupled with the application of knowledge. And so you acquire knowledge and then you apply knowledge. That means you're wise. And so, in fact, there's a scripture that says, "Oh, be wise. What can I say more?" It's just a real simple little scripture. And it's always been important to me because I want to be wise. And wisdom in your risk taking, wisdom in your financial strategies is important. I think finding that, back to those earlier questions you asked me about mentors, find good financial strategists. Get a good financial advisor, maybe. Get somebody that can help you and get on a path, a disciplined path, and stay on that path. In my earliest life, Jerry, I set up a commitment that I'm going to have an automatic payment plan out of my family checking account, that the largest payment I will ever make in my life, still to this day, the largest payment I will ever make goes into my family's future equity plans through mutual funds or through other qualified plans in many cases, but plans to grow money. And I would just cringe thinking, I can't afford this. You mean my savings plan into my mutual funds or my equity plans are going to be bigger than my house payment or bigger than a car payment? Yeah, I'm going to make my family's future a bigger priority than these other obligations I have.
I
So,
think that's a wonderful legacy to prioritize your family, and it all ties back into frugality. And finally, how can the audience connect with you? And can you mention your new book, Expect to Win?
well, yes, I wrote a book. It's been just a few years since I wrote that book, but that book, Expect to Win, I'm convinced that most people deep down in their psyche, they don't really expect to win. I think they hope to win, but I think they expect to fail, but hope to surprise themselves and win. And I think for most of us, if we did win at a high level, it would be a surprise to us. But for those few percentage, for the small percentage of people that do win at high levels, honestly, I don't think it's a surprise to them because they plan to win and prepare themselves to win in everything they do. And so my book is about that. It's about learning how to expect to win. It's about how to manage our mentality and our goal setting and our strategies, doing what I call reverse engineering. We reverse engineer our lives, reverse engineer our goals with a predetermined outcome. And so, yeah, you can go to my website, Monte Holm, MonteHolm.com, monteholm.com. And you can also go to Amazon and get that book. And I hope that it blesses people's lives. We've sold tens of thousands of those books. Lots and lots of people have them. And when I speak at big seminars and other events, often people want that book. And so you're welcome to get that through monteholm.com. I don't make any money on that, by the way. All the proceeds go to charity on that book. But its purpose is to help people learn to expect to win, Jerry.
Wow, what an amazing! And the audience can reach out to you through your website.
Yes, they can reach out through my website, anybody that would want to, and we can connect. My hope is, though, that your great audience will make the decision to grow and to become successful. I mean, I believe, Jerry, in my closing comments to you and your audience, that success, if success when achieved with honor, success when achieved with honor is worth more than its price, and it's better than it seemed like it would be. If you can imagine how fun it seems like it would be to be highly successful, it's actually better than that if it's done with honor and done properly. And so I would wish for everybody listening today that they would go and succeed with honor, and enjoy the growth that comes from it, and enjoy the rewards that come from it, and then give back and do good things with our lives. Let's make a big difference with our lives.
You left us with a sage wisdom. Thank you so much, Monty, for your time today. You are truly amazing.
Well, thank you. I feel the same about you, Jerry. I felt in our first meeting the other week when you and I talked about doing this podcast, I felt of your tremendous desire to be a force for good and to help people grow and become something special. So thank you for the good that you're doing, and you keep up the great work. Is that a deal?
Yes, sir, you bet. Sweatpants and Suits is a podcast where we dive into the journeys of career professionals, uncovering the secrets to transforming from sweatpants mode to suits success. Join us as we explore personal stories, insights, and strategies for cultivating a growth mindset and achieving your vision of success. I am your host, Jerry. Are you ready to up your game? Stay tuned, new episode releases every Tuesday.